What's up, vapors? Nick here for Spin Fuel's Daily Vape TV. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Aspire Atlantis tank. For those of you that don't know what this device is, it is a replaceable coil head tank atomizer, similar to the Nautilus and the Nautilus Mini, but with a sub-ohm coil. So that means you can crank this baby up from 20 to 30 watts, no problem. It has massive airflow on the front here, and it has 4 different options. It comes with an extra glass piece and a extra coil for you, and this is the retail packaging, which I'll show you in more detail when we get up close. It retails for around $45, which is a great price, very competitive with anything else on the market today. And for something that's so easy and so effortless, all you got to do is just replace that coil head, and you get nice big clouds every single time. I'm a big fan. So let's go down into the close-up portion of this video, take a good look at it, let's see what's in the box, and then I'll get to the rest of the review. Alright guys, so here we have the box for the Aspire Atlantis. Mine's a little bit fogged up because I tried to get the price sticker off, so yours will look a little bit nicer than this one. But anyways, we're going to just unbox it here real quick. This is what it should look like when it comes to you. So it's got these stickers on the side that are really annoying. There we go. And it's a nice plastic lid that comes right off. Here's the tank itself. Pretty self-explanatory. And we'll get into the parts in just a few minutes. And underneath the tank, you just lift up this cardboard piece right here. And there's a little, like our page on Facebook kind of thing. So there you go. It shows a quick list of their newer products. And this tank was actually designed to be a companion with the CF Sub-Ohm, which is the carbon fiber mod that they put out. It's pretty interesting because it's like made for the tank itself, and it works really great. And I've seen the pair together, and it looks really great. So maybe if I get a chance, or if someone wants to send me a carbon fiber, I'll do a review on that as well. Let me know if you guys want to see that in the comments below. Anyways, here's a spare glass tank that they give you as well. So there you go, there's your glass replacement tank. It's really nice that they give you that, because if you do happen to break it, you know you're going to be able to just replace it really quickly and not have to wait for shipping or anything like that for replacement parts. And it comes with an extra coil head, and both of these coil heads are both 0.5 ohms, which is perfect for 20 to 30 watts. And in order to take these apart, it's pretty simple. I am considering doing a video on it, and if I can get the wicking to work just right, then I will make sure to do that for you guys. But yeah, let's just put that back, put this off to the side, and we'll go through this tank top to bottom. So here's the drip tip. It's a really nice sturdy drip tip. Doesn't rock around too much, or it's not very loose or anything like that. I really love the machining on it. And just remove it like that. It's got a nice big chunky O-ring on the bottom there. Let's see if I can get a close up. And it's a little bit difficult to see, but there we go. There's the wideness of the bore there, and that's one of the widest bore drip tips I've seen in quite a while. And even aftermarket tips aren't quite as wide as that. So really like the drip tip that they included with this thing. The only reason I use Delrin on mine is because I just don't like the way metal feels against my teeth, and I just kind of worry about that kind of thing. But for those of you out there that don't care about that, this is going to be a really great tip for you guys. And next up we have the tank portion. And this is the part in here that kind of worries me. This is supposedly stamped chrome-plated brass, And I'll get into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to mention the fact that the manufacturer said that they are unable, they don't have the technology to mill out these chimney portions here. So that's just what I've heard. It's speculation, but I'm pretty sure it could be accurate. That sounds like something they would say. But I believe that is definitely possible to do with a milling machine. But anyways, if you want to replace your glass tube, all you have to do is wiggle this piece out here. It's just friction fit in the top. And the reason they did that is to avoid wear and tear on the glass, like the Nautilus tank. And you want to be somewhat gentle with it. There we go. There we go. All right. Ooh, let's focus, focus, focus. There we go. So they wanted to avoid wear and tear on the glass. And that's just juice on the inside. It's not any damage or anything, because I have been using it. But yeah, they didn't want to thread the glass like they did on the Nautilus. So they just put these little friction fitted pieces in here. Let's see if I can focus. There we go. So as you can see here, that just holds the glass into place. It's not even O-rings or anything. There's an O-ring at the top. So let's put that back. And just like that, you can replace your glass piece if it does happen to break. And let's go to the coil heads themselves. Here's the Atlantis coil head. It's a little bit difficult to see down in there, but it is a vertical coil, and they use artificial wicking along the outside rim here with a mesh screen on top. And I have seen a few people getting little black flakes in their mouth and stuff like that when they're vaping. So just a precautionary note that, you might run into some issues with that. Just be aware of it, and address it as it happens. I wouldn't be too worried about anything like that. It just kind of happens where if something like a piece of the mesh screen or something like that comes loose after quite a few weeks of wear, then yeah, it's just time to replace it rather than complaining about the state of the coils. But for me, I've never had any issues with it. And these are, again, 0.5 ohms, and they say right on them. Let's see if I can get a shot of it. Hopefully you guys can read that. It says 20 to 30 watts. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but there you go. Manufacturer's specified operating wattages. So there's a good close-up of the coil there. And finally, the base piece. Same kind of spring-loaded pin in the bottom, just like the Nautilus, and it's threaded at the bottom and on the chimney, so you get a nice tight seal with your atomizer. 510, buttery smooth, fits on all my devices really nice. One thing I have noticed is that this rim seems to touch whatever device you put it on more than the inner portion here, so you might get a little bit of wear and tear towards the outside. So when it sits flush, this is what actually hits the device. Just be aware of that, and don't tighten it down all the way or something like that, especially if you have a floating pin. Regardless, it fits really nicely on all my devices. Nice big chunky O-ring in the bottom there. And the airflow options, let's see if I can do it here. So there's the smallest airflow. Next smallest. There's the second to biggest, which from what I gather most people use this one, but me personally I like going all the way up to the widest one. There's a nice little satisfying click when you get it into place. So there you go, there's the widest one. And overall, the look and feel of this device is absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to go ahead and put it back together. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of you out there might be wondering why I'm reviewing this now. I just wanted to get a really good feel for the device before I went off and reviewed it, and I didn't want to say this is the best device ever before I actually knew, anything about it, because obviously when I picked it up, I loved it. I think it revolutionized the whole industry in reviving the 30-watt device, but I just wanted to give you guys a better in-depth look at this thing, and hopefully shed some light on some issues that have been brought up that haven't really been out there in a lot of other reviews. But otherwise, I love this thing. I still would recommend it, even though it has some issues. So let's go back to the main screen, get into my thoughts on it, and give you the pros and cons. Alright, so that was the close-up portion of the video. Let's move on to some of my thoughts on this device, what I think about it, and some pros and cons. Alright, so my first thought on this device is the fact that I think it's revolutionizing the industry, and the fact that so many more tanks like this are going to be coming out in the near future. Obviously, you know about the Kanger sub-tank, the sub-tank mini, and the sub-tank nano. They now offer a 5 mil extension tube for this thing, which is great because the 2 milliliter capacity is a little bit low for me. I go through about 3 or 4 tanks a day if I'm predominantly using this thing. But otherwise, I think this is a great little device. It looks great on any of my devices, from the Cloudpore Mini, what I have it on now, to the IPV. One thing I wouldn't recommend, though, when using this is using it on a mech mod. When you fully charge a mech mod, if you get like very little voltage drop from it, you're looking at around 40 to 50 watts out of it, and that's going to be burning your coil heads a little bit too high, and I would suggest staying away from that. If you have a regulated mod, these things are definitely meant for the regulated mods, so put it on one of your mods like that and you'll be good. Otherwise, as far as the materials, Pyrex glass, really nice solid Pyrex. I haven't seen too many of these things break, but if you do drop them, you're going to run a risk of breaking it. So if you have a tank protector, I would suggest slapping that on. They also offer a shield for it for the outside, a replacement metal cage for it, which I think is a nice addition. As far as the outer material, I believe it's stainless steel. It looks and feels like stainless steel, so I'm going to say it's stainless steel. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure everyone will mention in the comments below if I am incorrect. Otherwise, though, the inner tube, from what I've heard, it's stamped chrome-plated brass. So this chimney right here, I believe, is what people were mentioning in all the forums. And that would be a trouble area for me personally, because if you know lead, if you know brass at all, then brass most of the time will contain lead. So if you have the finish that wears off on here, if you notice anything like that scratching off or wearing off, just be aware and replace that tube immediately. But otherwise, if it's in good shape, then you're good to go. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Also, the coils in here, they are hand wound. Every coil is handmade, which I think is a really nice touch. And they are vertical coils that are very difficult to recreate because they use a mixture of resistance and no resistance wire. They do that so that the tails for the coils don't heat up, which is nice. I have not been able to recreate their coil one bit. I always end up with something either too low or way too high. So I really give them a lot of credit for innovating as far as that's concerned. The wicking, I've never really had an issue with wicking. Sometimes I might take a quick dry tug on it just by blocking off the air hole and taking a tug on it without hitting the fire button, just to get that juice moving. But that really only happens when I'm using like very, very high VG juice. Speaking of juice, this can handle anything from 50-50 all the way up to 100% VG, and I have tried them all in here. Like I said, they all work great. I find that actually the thicker the juice, like a 70-30 and up, actually works a little bit better, because when you're drawing on this thing, it actually creates a vacuum inside the tank portion here, and what that does, it will force juice into the chamber, the atomizer chamber. So the thicker the juice, it works a little bit better. When I used it with 50/50, it wasn't quite getting me the wicking that I was expecting, so I could only take about a 3 or 4 second draw without getting a little bit of that dry taste in there. The coils themselves last about 3 weeks. Some people run through a coil in a week. Obviously, there's going to be different types of vapors out there, and I don't predominantly use my Atlantis, so this is kind of, for me, this is like my driving mod, my go-to, anything that I can just grab and just take a vape real quick. This is what I usually go to. So yeah, the coils for me last about 3 weeks. Other people, like I said, have gotten about a week out of them, 2 weeks, something like that. Some people can vape for over a month on a single coil head, so uh, it depends all on how you vape and what type of vapor you are. As far as pros and cons go, pro is going to be a price. I love the price point of this. I bought mine for $40. They run anywhere from $35 to $45. The manufacturer actually sent out a big memo that stated that they don't want shops selling them for any cheaper than, I think, $40, simply for the fact that they want to maintain that their product is a good quality, high quality product. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I think that's fair to say. I mean, $40 is pretty cheap for a full tank setup with an extra replacement glass and an extra coil. So yeah, the price is definitely a pro for me. As far as another pro, let's see, the airflow. I love the airflow on this. I can get a nice deep lung inhale without any issue. Even at its widest open state, though, I do find that it's a little bit tighter than my drippers, but for me, that's fine. Like I said, this is predominantly my driving mod, so I'm really not worried about that. I mean, this works just fine for me in the car, and I'm not really looking to blow huge clouds when I'm driving anyways. So another pro for me is basically the innovation and the resurgence of the 30-watt mod. I really think that it extended the lifespan of the 30-watt mods. Anything from a Sigelli 30-watt tube to a Hanna to a Cloudport to anything. Anything that only goes up to 30 watts. You didn't think you would be able to blow huge clouds with it. Well, now you can. So grab your 30-watt mod that you might have put on the shelf for a while, slap an Atlantis on there, and you have a brand new great setup. Works amazing for me. Another pro is the drip tip. I replaced mine obviously with this Delrin tip here, but the drip tip that it comes with is a really nice wide bore drip tip, very well made. Let me just grab it real quick. So here's the drip tip that it comes with. Very nice machine drip tip with a big chunky O-ring on there. No wobble, no wiggle. It looks amazing. Just for me personally, I prefer Delrin. But anyways, I really can't find too many drip tips out there that look quite as nice as this on the actual Atlantis. But otherwise, yeah, it's a great, nice wide bore tip. Alright, so let's move on to some cons. My first con is going to be the fact that they used chrome-plated brass in the chimney section. I think that was a big mistake. They really should have taken the time to learn how to machine out the stainless steel. And from what I heard, the clones of the Atlantis tank actually have milled out steel, stainless steel inside the chimney portion, rather than the chrome-plated brass stamped material. So for the people that are making the clones, well done, I guess. I mean, I've never seen that before where I would actually applaud the machining of a clone over the authentic version. But yeah, not gonna lie, I prefer the stainless steel chimney over the chrome-plated brass, just for the sheer fact that I'm worried about anyone else out there that has one of these things that's modding them and, putting new coils in their tanks and just fiddling with the whole thing. That could lead to some danger there. So just be aware that, of your tank itself, and make sure nothing's scratching off or you don't see any brass in there, because I have seen some pictures online that are confirmed it is chrome-plated brass, and I've even heard that the manufacturer admitted it. So just be aware of that, like I said, and you'll be fine. My second con today is going to be the wicking material that they use in the coil heads themselves. From what I hear, it's like a silica, kind of a fiberglass artificial wicking, which I would definitely suggest replacing that if you are rebuilding these coil heads with organic Japanese cotton. From my experience, it wicks the best, and it's nice and fluffy, and it soaks up the juice really nice. So if you are replacing these yourself, then I would highly recommend doing organic cotton in them. And I think that Aspire should definitely come out with some organic cotton versions of the coils themselves, just for the sheer fact that it would just put everyone's fears at ease and at rest. So I don't prefer the wicking that they use in here, but I will say that the coils themselves work great and they last a while. So it's kind of a pro and a con at the same time. I don't mind so much. I don't think I'm going to be superheating it to the point where I'm going to be inhaling anything dangerous, but it's just something to be aware of. My third con is going to be the juice capacity of the standard tank right here. This is a 2 milliliter capacity tank, and for me that'll last me about an hour if I was vaping it straight. Like I said earlier, this is my driving mod, so I'm really not going to be using this all the time, all day, every day, but from my experience, people can fill this thing up 5 or 6 times a day easily when they're using it all day, and that just becomes somewhat of a pain. Obviously not as much of a pain as dripping, but it has to be mentioned as a con for me personally. Otherwise, I love this device, and I would say we'd be moving on to the portion where I'd say whether or not I would purchase this device if I hadn't received it for free. But since I purchased this device myself, obviously, yes, I would purchase this. I guess the question for me now would be whether or not I would purchase this device over the similar devices like the Kanger sub-tank. If the mini version of the sub-tank was out and I was able to put them side by side and test both of them at the same time and draw a conclusion, I would say I might end up going with the sub-tank just for the sheer fact that it has a larger juice capacity, and also the coil heads have organic cotton in them. Otherwise, I think the regular full-size sub-tank is just a bit too big and bulky, but the mini version is very attractive, and I think it would best rival the Aspire Atlantis currently. But otherwise, I love this little Atlantis tank, and I suggest everyone go out and get one because they're pretty reasonably priced, and I think that they're a great functioning tank. So that about does it for the review, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to comment below and let me know if you want me to do the sub-tank versus the Atlantis tank or any other kind of video suggestions that you have. Let me know in the box below. I'm very happy to announce that I'm going to VCC Tampa. So if you're going to the VCC Tampa event at the end of the month, I will see you there. Make sure you come up and shake my hand. I'll be at the Spin Fuel booth. I'll be doing the building classes. I'll be all around that event. So if you see me and my camera floating around, make sure you come up and say hi. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button below. I really appreciate all the support. I have almost 2,300 subscribers now. You guys are awesome. I love you all. And as always, favorite. Check out www.spinfuel.com for lots more of my videos, as well as Smokin' Joey and the Vapor Trail channel. And as always, vape on.